idea of form as proof of reality is what they're really working against, right? Which is, if we can't see it with our physical eyes, then it doesn't exist. Well, we can only see about 1% of the different spectrums of light, which means we're not seeing a lot of things that actually exist. We aren't hearing a lot of things that actually exist, that actually can be measured scientifically. So if we rely on our hearing and our sight as proof of what's real and what's there, we're living in a very, very limited world. And I'm getting experiences that are showing me there's something else going on here that I can't see, that I can't measure. It's coming through in the form of books and communications. So in that sense, I guess they're bringing things into tangible reality for us to see. But where are those things coming from? Who are they coming from? It really does. We really have to start to question a lot more. And again, this idea that the physical, if seeing is believing, no, believing is seeing. You will see what you believe. So if you want to see something other than what you're seeing, then you have to change your mind. And once again, we just get back to that consistent belief. We have to change our minds if we want to see a different world in whatever form that is, Although they have said, of course, that most of us would be scared out of our minds if we encounter even an angel in our bedroom would be frightening for most people, I think.
Yeah, I can't actually imagine that. So, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah. Okay, what's our next question?
Let's have a look.
Yeah. It's a really good question, by the way. I love that question.
Yeah, it's a great
spot on.
Okay, next question is from Christy. In your new book, you speak of banks closing their doors and businesses being shut in a few years. Are we to prepare ourselves for a breakdown of the system for a few months or more? Please speak more on this. Your sister from the same Mr. with love, Christy. That's brilliant. Your sister from the same.
Okay, I'll let Jesus answer this one.
Brilliant.
I should just say, because it's pertinent to this question, that a couple of days ago I channeled a written thing from Ananda, and they told me to prepare for not having any gasoline. So I am getting some guidance along those lines. So I'm going to get myself a couple of jerry cans and some good walking shoes, and I'm going to listen to them. Whether or not it comes to be, I don't know, but
yeah,
they were quite specific. So
get a bicycle.
Yeah. A horse is more up my alley. Actually, I could probably get a horse here. That would be fun.
Yeah, that would be fun.
That would be fun. Okay, get me back on focus here. Horses always make me go funny.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see what Jesus has to say. Your fears about the destruction of your society are paradoxical and confusing at times for those of us on this side. We hear millions and millions of prayers and supplications every day from people asking for change. We hear the cries of those of you who are living in a way that you don't want to live, over and over and over again. And those cries of suffering and disillusionment and upset are coming with great emotion behind them. And it is important for you to understand that this kind of prayer is what creates. When you have a very intensely focused mind, charged with emotion, you get what you ask for. And that is what is going to happen on your planet. You are going to get a new society. And to get a new society, there has to be a change of guard. There has to be a transformation of the systems that you are seeing, of the systems that you are used to, and of the systems that are limiting you. And this is why we are bringing forth these teachings at this time. And that is why this being has been in training to bring forth this information, because your society is through its history and through many of the mechanisms that are invisible to you as peasants in a patriarchal and hierarchical system. Many of you are on the lower rungs of influence in your society, and so you don't really know what is going on. You have laws passed down to you. You have trade agreements written on your behalf, and you must comply with them. If you break a law, if you break a rule, you are slapped on the wrist, punished, fined, thrown in jail, and you have seemingly no power to shift these systems. What you haven't understood is that you are the creator of these systems because you believe in your powerlessness, because you fear freedom, because you have come to fear nature. You have become dependent upon systems that are very precariously balanced and are not love-based, and so they cannot thrive and continue. So if you have a system that is initially created from passion, and that is what some of your systems are, just because one person who had influence created a law that they were passionate about in that moment does not mean that it can be maintained if a lot of other people are passionately against it. So this is what you are looking at in your society. You are looking at a society that is very young. It is a very baby society. If you just look at your technological innovations and your electrical systems and your food and fuel distribution systems, they are precariously balanced. They are a house of cards that it takes very little to disrupt. And they are very, very new, and they are unnatural, and they are not love-based. So it is very clear from our point of view that something that is not love-based is not going to thrive and survive for very long at all. Now, most of you have such a short attention span that you think of your life as a long time, but your life is not a long time as it relates to a culture and its development and its evolution. You have been immersing yourself in this materialism, capitalism experiment for a very short time, relatively speaking, and look at the havoc that it has caused. Look at the destruction of your environment and your waterways and your agricultural lands and your blessed beings that it has caused, and yet you fear losing it. This is very interesting to beings of higher frequency when we see the suffering and the devastation of this beautiful planet that is being caused by the use of petroleum products and paper alone, seeing beautiful forests being cut down, animals losing their homes, waterways being devastated by soil erosion and mudslides and chemicals washing off the fields from these pollutants that you spray on your foods. For goodness sakes, dear one, do not be so attached to this system. Do not be so convinced that this is a good thing. It is not a good thing, and it cannot continue on because it is not love focused. So these are not threats. These are merely the realities and probabilities of your society's trajectory. Your financial systems ask you to give them all your money, and they keep it. They keep it for years and years and years, and you expect it to be there when you want it. It has gone. It has left the building. They have spent it. They are lending money they don't have. They are taking money and moving it away from the systems that need it into the top of the pyramid. That is the 1% that you hear referred to. Now, some of you will say that Jesus would not talk about these systems, but I talk about whatever systems are at play in whatever system I am speaking to. This is not the Jesus of your Bible. This is not the Jesus of your fantasy world. This is a real system that you have created from misaligned thoughts. This is now a system that is being changed from supplications and prayers that are heartfelt and genuine. There are many parents, for example, who go to work each day and put their children in daycare and are exhausted and overstimulated and working so hard to maintain the system that they have been told they should maintain. And every night they go to sleep and pray for something to free them from this horror so that they may hang out with their children more. Those beings are going to get their wish. They will go to work one day and the doors will be closed. There are beings that hate money. There are beings that constantly say, I hate money. I hate this system. I don't want to have to work for money anymore. There must be a better way. This is the revolution that is happening, and we are bringing this information to you so that you can begin to prepare your minds for a shift in your society. Just as slavery was once a common economic pursuit, just think about that. People sold and bought people and used them as if they were animals, killing them, raping them, using them, murdering them, all of these terrible things, destroying families. This was normal. This was a main source of economic development a few hundred years ago. And there were beings that were evolving their consciousness that saw that this system was defunct, this system was abusive, this system was cruel, the system was inhumane and evil in some ways. If you want to use that word, evil is just a lack of love. That is all it is. And that was what slavery was. But you have become modern slaves, many of you, feeling unable to leave because you have these invisibles of your hands and feet. Slavery, when abolished, was a revolution. It was a love revolution, and there have not been that many love revolutions in your society, but that was one of them, and it was a violent and disruptive thing. And trust us, the slave traders were not happy about that transformation. The builders of wooden wheels for carriages were not happy when cars came along. They had to find new work, and there were people who were displaced from their current source of income, and they had to get creative. Well, guess what? Spirit is not upset when you have to get creative. Spirit is not upset when you leave an unloving system for a loving system. But all of you have the ability to begin that change now. That means look out of your front door, and if there is a green space available to you, that means you have a lawn. Dig up your lawn and prepare to plant food next year. That is a natural and logical thing to do. Now, you can do it in a way that doesn't upset your neighbors. You can make it look quite lovely. You will be non-conforming. So there are going to be some people who show up and say you can't do that. But this is the revolution that must take place. You must begin to take back your power and say, I am allowed to grow vegetables instead of flowers. I am allowed to grow vegetables instead of grass. This is my right. But if nobody is brave enough to do it, guess what? The system that continues will continue. But this house of cards has begun to wobble. And you know what happens to a house of cards once it begins to wobble. There is that momentum that builds up from the wobble, and it cannot be stopped. You cannot stop a house of cards from falling once it has begun to wobble. But this is where you must understand that you are the creator of everything. If you focus on what you're going to lose, you will go into fear and low frequency emotions, and you will attract to you negative experiences. If you look at where you are powerful, that means you envision the world you want to see. You envision school systems that are kind and creative and give lots of outdoor time to children, where they're loving and encouraged to be who they are, who they want to be. If you envision a world where all of your food is organic, that these chemicals are outlawed because they are dangerous. This is sanity. Begin to envision that world. Support the organic food growers in your neighborhood. Do not tell the story that you can't afford it. Tell the story that you cannot afford not to do it. These are where your beliefs play such a great role in creating the experience that you will have as this transition goes along. So if you have the any savings, for example, we would suggest that you begin to look at ways that you can enhance your independence from systems that may become unstable. So, for example, if you have a large savings account and you look at your backyard and you think, wow, I could put in a really nice garden there, but I haven't done it. I'm going to take some of that money and I'm going to build some beds and bring some organic soil in, and I'm going to begin to garden, because I may very well go to a grocery store one day and there won't be that much to choose from. I would like to be able to walk out into my garden and pick fresh tomatoes and fresh lettuce and dig up some potatoes and carrots and onions. These are things that I would like to be able to have should this very precarious system stop functioning. Even if your system stopped functioning for 2 weeks, most of you would be suffering. So we are not asking you to look at these things because we are cruel or we are trying to torment you or we are threatening you with anything. We are merely asking you to look at the reality of what you have created through your participation and constant belief in the limitations that have been fed to you. We are telling you a different story. And I told you a different story 2,000 years ago when I was incarnated on the physical plane. I talked about your divine nature. I talked about your ability to work miracles. This is not a new story. You must ask yourself, why has this story been kept from us? Why has this story been distorted so that you must convert to a religion and become restricted and fearful and afraid of hell? Why did it get transformed into that story? Because it does not empower you. You have become victims of a system that teaches disempowerment across the board. We are here to encourage you, so don't be afraid. We are here to invite you into your internal world so that you can see where your fears are being generated. Belief in the body. I believe that I will suffer and die if I don't have a job. Where did that come from? Who taught me that? Why do I believe that? The trouble is in your society is that many of these systems are thousands of years old, and so they have become what you think of as natural, but they are not. We again ask you to look at the natural systems of life, and we know that you have become separated from those systems. And when you look around at your urban environments and the fact that you don't have gardens, some of you, and that you have jobs and debt, these are all aspects that make you feel limited because you are participating in them. But you can begin to change your mind, and that means researching ways of urbanized gardening, for example, searching out the opportunities for growing your own food, purchasing bulk organic foods from cooperatives. There are many, many systems that advanced and evolving and revolutionary beings have already set up. This is not new. The revolution to return to Mother Earth and organic food and natural systems has been going on for several decades on your planet, and there are solar panel companies and hydroponic plant growing companies and hippie communes all over the world who are practicing these systems. It is those of you that are stuck in cities that are the ones that are having the worst time of it. So begin to research what you can do with where you are. Begin to research the possibilities for yourselves within the structures that exist in your neighborhood, in your home. There are many, many ways that you can begin to shift your consciousness towards change. This is the one constant in your world. Everything changes. It always has, and it always will when you are stuck in duality and in the world of the ego. The real reality is unchanging unity consciousness, and that is where you are walking towards and working towards, and you will all eventually get there. The question is, how many incarnations will you have? How many times will you have to see systems collapse before you realize that anything that is not loving will not last? So begin to focus your attention on loving yourself, on doing things that you love, on creating things that are beneficial to your bodies, to your families, to your society, and begin to see that you are the source of every aspect of this society that is teetering on the edge of imbalance. These are important times, and that is why we are bringing these books through. That is why we are bringing these messages through. The solution is always to focus on love, abundance, health, caring for each other, caring for yourself. How can you care for yourself more today? Get out in nature, eat healthy food, get some comfortable exercise that does not stress the body. Smile at yourself and other beings and shine. Open defenselessness and know that change will always come your way. It is an illusion to think that change and security come from jobs and houses and paychecks. They don't. They are illusory instruments of hierarchies that want you to hand over your money to them. And so they have worked very, very hard to convince you that this is the only way you can survive. It is not. You are divine aspects of God mind, and you are the creators of all of your experience. So if you are fearful of the material world, you need to change your mind and focus on the spiritual connections that you have with higher frequency beings, and begin to shift yourself up into those realms where creation brings abundance, love, beneficent and healthy systems into being. We want you to know that there are so many beings here that want to help you, that you just have to ask. You have to be shown. You have to ask to be shown. But you will not be able to hold on to things that are not loving. The frequency of your planet and your consciousness as a whole is shifting up, 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 and you must join in or you will fall by the wayside. And that is not a threat. That is just the truth of the matter. As a train speeds up, if you don't hop on at the station, you are going to miss it. And that means that if you resist and put your feet on the brake all the time and say, I can't, I'm scared, then you will get the limitation that you are arguing for, because that is free will, and spirit loves you so much that you get to have whatever it is that you believe in and whatever it is that you want. And if it is limitation and fear, then you have the ability to have those things as much as you want of them. Begin to shift your mind towards love and defenselessness and healthy systems, not only for yourself and your children, but for the future of your beloved Gaia. She is suffering under the hand of this system, and beings of high frequency believe in her freedom, and we believe in your freedom. We believe in the health of your planet and this wonderful, wonderful library of life that it holds. The abundance of genetic material on your planet is beyond comprehension, and you are losing it because of your ignorance and your limiting beliefs and ideas. So begin to expand your mind, begin to step into your adulthood as a spiritual being, and begin to take responsibility for your contribution to the destruction of your health, the destruction of your planet, the soil, these kinds of things. Support those beings that grow healthy food, give them your money, give them your support and a smile, and those systems will thrive. If you give your money to the systems that are producing poisonous foods and poisonous systems, they will continue to thrive for a little while, but the systems that are destroying this planet will not be allowed to continue. There are interventions being made globally on your behalf, and the changes are going to happen, whether or not you understand them, whether or not you like them. Your choice is, how are you going to handle it? Are you going to come at these changes with an attitude of expansion and love and a willingness and adventure, creativity? You are adventurous, creative beings that have forgotten that you are adventurous and creative. You have become domesticated, and you need to get back a little bit of your wild side so that you can enjoy this consciousness evolution and the changes that are coming your way. We love you all very much, and that is why we are here. That is why we are sharing these communications with you, so that we can talk you through these shifts and ebbs and flows of energy on your planet. It is a great revolution that is taking place here. It is the same as that revolution that ended slavery. You are ending a different kind of slavery, and you will walk into a different era on your planet. And that is why so many of you are here, because you want to see it. You want to experience it. Breaking free is one of the most wonderful feelings in the world. And that is what spiritual evolution is about. It is about experiencing experience and coming to see when an unpleasant experience comes to an end. It feels wonderful, just like when you break free of your physical bodies in death. Many of you have a most ecstatic experience, but you don't need to wait until you die to break free. It is all mind, and you are able to bring your freedom into manifestation now, but you must focus and train yourselves to focus on what you want, what you believe in, and the connections that you have with the higher realms that are guiding this place and you as well. We will speak to you again soon.